Hey guys, welcome. This is the third video to my series where I talk about my journey to UC Berkeley. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my essays that I submitted on the UC application. As I mentioned earlier, this is in continuation to the videos that I posted earlier. So in my previous videos, I spoke about my grades and my extracurricular activities. So if you haven't watched those videos yet, I highly recommend you to watch those first. This is also an additional example to a previous example that was provided by my friend where he spoke about his essays. So if you haven't watched that either, I highly recommend you to watch that as well. The links to both of those videos are in the description below. So without further ado, let's look at my essays. Okay, so before I get started on to my essays, I'd like to first put out a point that just because I wrote about a certain topic or I wrote in a certain way, that doesn't mean another applicant that writes the same way is going to get in or is going to get rejected. This is just an example so that for students who are extremely lost or extremely unclear about how they should go about their essays, this can put some insight for them and it can assist them. Also, it's extremely important to be very personally connected to what you're writing about. It can be about anything, like it can be about the smallest things that really matter to you. It can be about maybe like an eraser that you've been attached to since you were 4 years old as well. So it doesn't really matter what it is about, but it has to be personally connected and it has to bring out that emotion. So before I start reading my essays, so the UC essays are also known as the personal insight questions. You have 8 different questions from which each applicant is expected to write or to answer 4 prompts. Each prompt has to be answered in 350 words or lesser. Again, you have complete liberty in choosing those prompts, and whichever a student connects to most and believes that they can write about in their best potential is something they should go around with. That's what I did. Okay, so starting with my essays, the first prompt that I answered was, what would you say is your greatest talent or skill? How have you developed and demonstrated that talent over time? So I'm going to start reading my answer to this. Aditi, stop spinning beta, you can dance tomorrow, my mom would say, and 3-year-old me would run and hug her. With a smile, she'd say, I'm sure you will fulfill my dream, which was for me to accomplish all the aspirations she had as a dancer. Today, when someone says, you dance just like your mother, or when I appear in the Indian newspapers, I see the precious tears of joy of her dream coming true in her eyes and wish to capture each tear in my treasure box of blessings. I have been practicing Kuchipudi, an Indian classical dance form, since I was 4, from as early as I can remember. I felt a domino effect before every performance. First, I'd get anxious, later resulting in stage fright, eventually preventing me from reaching my potential. Then, my guru would say, her rhythm sense and graceful movements have improved, but she needs to be more expressive. Though I enjoyed dancing, fear would keep my face tensed. However, the more I performed, the healthier my nervousness became. As time passed, I realized the importance of expressing the character's emotions, as this played a vital role in depicting a captivating story to the audience. Dance is like a movie, Aditi. It's essential for you to become the character internally to portray the meaningful Hindu insights, my mother told me. From then, I gradually started living my character's life while dancing. From feeling immense joy to shedding tears, I began to express it all. Tarangam, known to be an authentic dance piece of Kuchipudi, involves dancing on a brass plate. Having performed this as at the prestigious stage of the Guinness World Records organized by Silicon Andhra and on the roads of Devanahalli, a village in Bangalore, I learned the difficulties involved in dancing on a plate on both rough and smooth surfaces. This experience was a life lesson to cope and adapt to varying circumstances instantaneously. Along with the God gifted talent, supportive family, and a dedicated guru, I consider myself more than fortunate to have a variety of opportunities to exhibit my talent. The second prompt that I chose to answer was describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? So, my answer to this was Aditi, we have to rush. Dada has had a massive heart attack. On the way to the hospital, I felt my parents' heartbeats with mine, restless and panic stricken. In the ICU, I saw my Dada's eyes calling me towards him. He held my hand tightly. Blood all over, I saw him experience a second massive heart attack, and I felt the pain from my hand all the way to my heart. He bid me goodbye forever. Though my dad was a victim of chronic diabetes since the age of 27, the drastic deterioration of his health only began when he was 41 with his neuropathic retinopathy issues later leading to kidney and pancreas failure. Seeing him glued to the bed, unable to walk, and finally flashbacks of the ventilator and heart attacks made me inconsolable. Despite the sufferings, I realized that it was high time I persevered and confronted the challenges coming my way. I wiped away my tears and got ready to wipe away my mom's too. As a high school freshman, I knew the next 4 years would be my first step towards supporting my family emotionally and financially. I was longing for the priceless smiles on their faces. I had to fill my dad's shoes as soon as possible. I recalled everything my dad taught me, from inspiring my interest in CS to how I should never give up even when faced with obstacles. I was always fascinated with my dad's job. I developed an interest in programming when he showed me his written code that determined the placement of each car exterior. From picking up fake conference calls and imitating his job as a 4-year-old to now having my own job at Hubbard's as an IT marketing intern, it has been an enlightening journey. My inspiration pushed me to find a balance between working 20 hours a week and managing schoolwork. Today, I can say that the sense of responsibility and determination in me is a result of my past experiences, and they will always provide me with a constant source of motivation. The third prompt that I chose to answer was think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. So my answer to this was it all started with my 3-year-old fingers on my toy laptop, following what my curious eyes saw, my father's speed and style of typing. Next stop, 4th grade me, programming the Scratch IO Teddy robot and smiling as it followed my commands. After this, I began to accumulate programming languages as fast as I could. HTML in 8th, Java in 9th, C++ and Python in 10th. Now, I want to be a part of a team that revolutionizes technology by using computational skills to solve and optimize existing systems that we come across in our day-to-day activities. I began identifying realistic problems and devising solutions after learning cryptography at computer science class. I connected the prior encryption-decryption algorithms we had learned. As I walked home that day, I could not stop thinking about cryptocurrency. I was intrigued by the nonce, a mathematical number amongst millions of numbers that was being solved by miners from all over the world to earn in the cryptographic world. What if nonce was not a number, rather a real world problem that was being solved for? Considering genetic disorders being caused due to errors in fragments of code, I thought of rectified genetic code to replace the nonce that the miners solved for, resulting in a deep learning model that would identify the position of the incorrect genetic code and rectify it, curing a deadly disease. Proceeding with my connections to AI in the treatments of diseases, I went about researching possible areas of implementation in cancer diagnosis and treatment. Going deeper, I realized the root cause of failures is delayed diagnosis and lack of personalized treatment. As a prototype, I thought of a simulated humanoid model that would take in specific parameters to validate the diagnosis and predict the outcome of treatment on a particular individual. I wrote a research paper on the same topic, the applications of artificial intelligence on cancer biology, that was published in an internationally reputed journal, IJARIIT. I implemented my research by collaborating with my peers in creating a model that diagnoses the different stages of melanoma with greater efficiency. The fourth or last prompt that I chose to answer was, what have you done to make your school or your community a better place? My answer to this was, we often overlook the aspects of our lives we should be grateful for. Whenever I try gaining a deeper insight into these beautiful aspects, I realize none of them would be possible without our primary helpers. It was only once I began spending time with these very people that I understood the beauty of learning, interacting, and teaching, their sparkly eyes inquisitively looking at me. To begin expressing my gratitude, I became a member of the South Asian Culture Show, a 400 plus student body that raised funds for associations in Asia through a dance concert. I was a part of the lead team of dancers and helped in the choreography of classical Bollywood fusion dance. Months of planning, hard work, and practice went into our final show. We were a full house on both days and managed to raise $20,000 for Akshay Patra and Malala funds. While signing the volunteer logbook at the Association of People with Disabilities, I saw a bundle of papers fly. The staff panicked as they had lost a critical patient's file. Observing that everything was manually written, I knew how hard it would be to look for something in the midst of this chamber of files. After considering the various constraints and discussing them with the management of APD, I created an online database application for storing and processing the files of the patients and staff, along with a security tracker that kept track of the staff and volunteers. I have always considered myself fortunate to be a part of an encouraging family. I joined the Girl Up community to do my part by encouraging underprivileged girls. After hosting multiple right awareness summits and educational conferences in India and San Diego, I was able to impart STEM and research skills and work on numerous programs while I learned precious crafting, stitching, and cooking skills. I observed the progress in them and me as individuals. We shared our assets and got wealthier in terms of knowledge. Witnessing the underprivileged and disabled communities' endeavors enabled me to realize who the real Generation Z thinkers of today are. So that was about all my essays, and that was how I approached them. But again, everyone has their own style of approaching their essays and their own experiences that they should cover. Make sure that you're personally connected to them, and make sure you enjoy crafting your essays, because I found it extremely stressful, but it was also a lot of fun tracking back as to what all I did throughout my high school journey. So I hope this video was of some help to all our viewers. So yeah, stay tuned for more content. Thank you.